Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Shiban and I'm a second year medical student studying at King's College London. And today I'm going to tell you what I did to go from a D to an A star in IGCSE Chemistry. All the changes I made, study strategies I used, everything that made a difference to take me from a really poor grade to the best grade I could get. But before we get into that, I want you to go check out my YouTube channel. I make videos about medical school and university, get into medical school videos, vlogs, day in the life videos. So do go check my YouTube channel out. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join me for a lot more. So I know I said I'm going to be talking about chemistry, but these tips and these changes are sort of relevant to any science that you may be studying in school. You can implement the same strategies, the same changes, and you can potentially get the same results because that's what I did. Right, so let me begin by telling you a little bit about what my situation was and how it sort of changed. So when I joined IGCSE, I was getting really poor grades in chemistry. I started off getting D's and C's. I used to get in the high 50s to low 60s in terms of a raw score, and yeah, I was just really unhappy with my grades because all my life I had been a straight A student, someone who used to do well in school, and suddenly seeing a grade as low as a D really shocked me. And I thought there was nothing I could do about this. I thought I was stuck in this situation. But over time, I figured a few things out. I made some changes, and because of that, I gradually moved from a D up to a C, up to a B, up to an A, and then in my final IGCSE exams, I scored an A star and I was at the top of my class, and I got 98 out of 100. So chemistry went from being my least favorite subject to my favorite subject. And if you're in the same situation, you can make this change as well. And let me tell you how. So the first thing you'd want to do is identify that there's a problem. For the longest time, I was in denial, thinking that it's going to get better. Maybe I just have to study a little more. Maybe I've not done this, or maybe if I just, work a bit harder, or it'll get better the next time. Just not accepting that there was a fundamental issue in why I wasn't scoring good grades. And once I sort of accepted that no, there's a big problem and I do need to do something about it, that was when this sort of change started. That's when things started getting better. So identifying that you really need to make a change is the first step. Once you've identified the problem, the second step would be seeking help. Because usually the issue when you're scoring such poor grades is a fundamental lack of understanding or a lack of conceptual clarity, and that happens very often in the sciences. So if you don't understand a lot of basic concepts and how things work, then you can't build upon that. If you don't have that sort of foundation of knowledge, you can't move any further. And the only way you can build upon this knowledge that you lack is by seeking help. So you'd want to maybe look for a tutor, a professional tutor, another student who's tutoring, a peer tutor, someone in your class who's really good at whatever subject you're studying. I got a tutor and he changed everything for me. We sat down, we discussed many important sort of concepts in chemistry, and slowly after a few classes, after a few sessions, things started to make sense to me, which they never did before. And that's when I really realized what I was missing, how sort of behind I was in terms of my clarity with these concepts. So definitely seek out help, whether it's in the form of a tutor, a friend, or even spending extra time with your teachers. Now that you've done these two things, the next thing you want to do is past papers. So past papers are literally the best way to study in IGCSE or your GCSEs. They're incredible. So once you join university and you start getting interested in the process of studying, you learn about something called active recall, and maybe you already know about it in school. But active recall is supposedly the best way of retaining things. And the idea is when you test yourself on something, your retention rate improves. So testing yourself on certain knowledge makes sure that you remember it the next time you're tested on it when it actually matters. Past papers really employ active recall. They also serve the purpose of showing you what information is important. So if you're in IGCSE or your GCSEs, you know you have a massive bank of past papers and questions to sort of practice from. After doing a bunch of them, you notice that there's a pattern, and you not only improve at the subject, like at chemistry or at biology or at physics, you get better at answering a paper as well, because there's a strategy to that too. You could know everything about the science, but you might not do that well in a paper because you don't know how to answer it. And answering past paper questions, looking at the mark schemes will really help with that. Now, speaking of past papers, there's a way you can further build on this that will sort of improve your situation even more. So since there's so many past papers and you have the mark schemes available for all of these past papers, try making it a game. I did that. So I had an Excel sheet where I put like the different sessions, like May 2017, November 2017, and all the sort of papers for that. And I tested myself, and I would mark myself after each test. So I'd take it in realistic testing conditions where I won't look anything up, where I'd answer everything and then use the mark scheme to grade myself and to give myself a score. So giving yourself a score really puts a numerical value on your performance, and it sort of motivates you to sort of get better because you can actually see that improvement when you're numerically rating it. If you're just reading the chemistry textbook or the biology and physics textbook, you don't notice how much you're learning. But if you keep doing past papers and you start seeing that, oh, I started out getting like 50 on 80. Now I'm getting 60 on 80. Now I'm getting 65 on 80. What if I can get 75 on 80? You know, you start seeing that improvement and it really motivates you. It really pushes you to have a sort of competition with yourself. And when I say make it a game, don't just limit that competition to yourself. Some amount of healthy competition amongst your peers is pretty useful, especially in school, because school is the one time where it's not more about understanding the information you're being taught, it's more about getting good grades. I know that sounds controversial. You can't extract more learning out of your school material than you're naturally getting, but scoring well matters a lot because it's going to set you up for later in life. That's why I say this. So yeah, like I said, make it a game, make it fun for yourself, challenge yourself, and that will definitely be a big motivator for you to study more, to do more papers, to do the best you can. Now the next thing I'd say is to narrow down what information you need to memorize. So sitting and memorizing everything in the textbook is not a smart way of studying, because a lot of knowledge in chemistry is very application based. So if you have the base for it, you can sort of deduce the answer in any situation. So you don't need to memorize a lot of things. But there's certain information that you do need to memorize, such as like solubility charts, the color of a flame when this happens or when that happens, little things like that. So you want to make a sort of list of things that you need to remember. And once again, use past papers for this. See what information is tested often in past papers that requires memorization. The more past papers you do, the better you will get at noticing what information needs to be memorized. Narrow that down and go memorize that, and that only, not everything else. In other things, your primary focus is conceptual understanding and practice, and with the other information, the smaller amount of information, you want to sit and actually memorize it. And finally, I just say don't let yourself go in IGCSE or your GCSEs. You're right in the middle of school, you're a couple of years away from starting university, so you can't really see your ultimate goal that clearly. But at the end of the day, what you're doing right now in school really matters. So put that healthy amount of pressure on yourself. don't stress too much, but do force yourself to sort of make a change, to do the best you can, because at this stage it's very possible. Nothing that's being taught is so complicated or so difficult that there's no way around it. You can definitely get all of this done, and you can definitely improve your grades in chemistry by a lot, and in all the other sciences as well if you're not performing that well. And if you're already performing well, you can sort of improve on that even more, and that'll set you up well for your A-levels or IB or whatever you're studying next. But anyway, I hope these tips were useful. This is what worked for me. These are all the strategies that I sort of narrowed down, and I hope you find them helpful. And if you do drop a like down below, hit the subscribe button, and share the video with your other friends who are doing any science in IGCSE or GCSE. And yeah, I guess there's nothing else to say. I'll see you in the next one.